Tears are words the mouth can't say nor can the heart bear. Heavy hearts, like heavy clouds in the sky, are best relieved by the letting of a little water. Tears come from the heart and not from the brain. One thing you can't hide is when you're crippled inside. Sadness, never, ever, something that we actively summon or wish to feel, manages to find its way to us every now and then. It's a natural part of life. But sometimes it helps to know that others are going or have been through the same thing. Because that means that things will get better. Start looking up. If you're experiencing tough times or dealing with loss, this list of sad quotes will, oddly enough, provide some comfort and camaraderie. There are moments when I wish I could roll back the clock and take all the sadness away, but I have the feeling that if I did, the joy would be gone as well. Things change. And friends leave. And life doesn't stop for anybody. I have learned now that while those who speak about one's miseries usually hurt, those who keep silence hurt more. The excursion is the same when you go looking for your sorrow as when you go looking for your joy. Don't ever tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody. What is hardest to accept about the passage of time is that the people who once mattered the most to us wind up in parentheses. I keep thinking about this river somewhere, with the water moving really fast. And these two people in the water, trying to hold on to each other, holding on as hard as they can, but in the end it's just too much. The current's too strong. They've got to let go, drift apart. That's how it is with us. Sometimes you got to hurt something to help something. Sometimes you have to plow under one thing in order for something else to grow. Tears of distress and pain. Sometimes words are not enough to express strong emotions. Occasionally, you gotta cry. Emotional tears release endorphins and oxytocin, neurochemicals which lessen pain and help us to bond with others. They calm us down. Crying is your body's pressure relief valve. Tears are one of nature's best antidepressants. You were probably born crying. It was probably your first observable behavior. It probably relieved the stress of being born. Crying as infants also communicated to the adults how vulnerable you were, how much you need protection, help and comfort. And it continues to serve this function as we go through life. It transmits information about our needs. So, it's no wonder we feel vulnerable and perhaps ashamed if we cry in front of others as adults. Once our egos are well formed, from middle childhood onwards, we realize that our culture sees crying as weak and embarrassing. Sometimes even having needs is seen as weakness. This messaging holds for males and females, but particularly so for boys and men. But why do these negative beliefs prevail? One of the reasons for the fear and shame about crying is most of us fear the shame of displaying, or even feeling, strong emotion. I cannot overstate how much this messaging, strong emotion equals weakness, still pervades our culture. But why? Like the yawning phenomenon mentioned above, expressions of vulnerability and pain can make others feel vulnerable. And if the adults in our lives as kids, and even now, hated to feel vulnerable or had few skills to display empathy, they were likely to shut us down without even realizing it. And lastly, let's not forget that heavy crying is indeed very personal. Your nose gets blocked, your face flushes, you have trouble talking, and you may get a headache, just to mention a few side effects. You may not like others watching you blow your schnoz or bearing witness to your smudged eye makeup. This is one reason I often prefer to do it alone, if I can. A lot of the time, people don't know what they're getting into when they become an adult. Sometimes, you have to accept that life isn't easy. This can be a difficult realization for some people. However, this quote reminds us that there are always upsides to our hardships and challenges, even if we don't see them at first. You don't need to be thankful, you just need to keep going. When you're depressed, it can feel like everything is happening to you. It's easy to feel helpless, as if there's nothing in your control. But that's not true. You do have control over how you react to situations and circumstances. You don't always have to be grateful for what happens, but at least do your best and keep going.